Paul, I just need to know what exactly you've seen when you've said that is an example of toxic masculinity.
I think men feeling that they need to dominate spaces physically and speaking over women, interrupting women, belittling them.
It's just a question. So you just said when men interrupt and dominate spaces. Were you a toxic feminist when you interrupted me when I was on stage?
No, I was interrupting something.
I'm just asking.
That I fundamentally don't believe in.
I'm just asking because you're saying that somebody interrupting someone is now a symbol of toxic masculinity. You just interrupted me on stage, so are you a toxic feminist?
I wasn't interrupting you because I didn't...
You went, bullshit!
Yeah, because you were talking
bullshit!
Because you were talking bullshit. I didn't interrupt you because you're a woman. I interrupted you because I didn't believe what you were saying. It's not that I didn't believe
but
what you were saying.
But maybe that's what men do sometimes? Is it possible that men sometimes interrupt because they disagree with what women are saying and not because they're toxic masculinity in the air? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Is that you're coming up with terms and sometimes people just interrupt. I'm fine with the fact that you interrupted me. It happens all the time and I'm not holding that against you. I'm just using it to prove a point that you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
No. Because I interrupted you on the basis that I didn't agree with the politics you're espousing, both of you.
Well, maybe men are just disagree with what you're saying.
Because you're a woman. The fact that you're a woman is completely irrelevant to me.
But maybe it's irrelevant to men as well when they interrupt people. Men interrupt other men. Men interrupt women.
That's not the case.
We're
There's a culture of men's voices being valued more than women.
What is your metric for this?
Give us one piece of data.
Yeah, like a data.
Any piece of data.
You can't just say there's a culture of men interrupting women. What's your data point for this?
Any kind of interpretivist data where you're looking at interactions, at dynamics, you can see. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like a statistic?
Like a fact?
Yeah.
Any fact?
Any kind of...
How about the stuff Dominique...
A recent huge cultural example, maybe?
So can I ask a question? Do you think we live in a patriarchy?
Yes.
Why do women live longer than men? Why are men more likely to commit suicide? Why do women compose 50+% of college
Why do we
graduates?
control 89% of the spending power within households if men are the ones that are going out and making all of the money, as we like to say?
Because women have the sole responsibility of caring for the house and the children.
So it's a patriarchy that allows women a lot of responsibility?
Within a household, within a certain sphere, not a powerful one. The household is not a powerful
Then why are majority of business startups women, majority of master's degrees, and majority of doctorate degrees in the States?
The thing about women living longer, married women live the least long. Unmarried women live longest because they do not have the responsibilities, the emotional labor of being
Marriage
with a
is
man.
emotional labor.
Pardon?
Marriage is emotional labor for women, and that's
a great point.
Well, no, because the way that women support men, like, it's a huge part.
We live in a
They support each
I'm
other.
not saying no, they don't. No, they don't. I'm talking.
But so
about
this is sort of, I appreciate the discussion we're having. You're such a perfect reason for why I could never be a feminist, because everything that I just couldn't. It's like, you don't really know why you're calling it toxic. You did the exact same thing, but you decided that when men interrupt, it's because you're a woman. But you decided that when you interrupt, it's just because you had a differing opinion.
You asked me for one example.
I know. And then you say stuff about the marriage and breakdown as an emotional labor. There are women, just so you know, that aspire to get married and have children and stay at home and raise good children. And that's okay. So, but why are you now making it seem like that puts us in a position that's less than man? Want to create a society? Be the person that raises every individual that's in society. Feminism has made it seem like there's something wrong with being a mother, that there's something wrong with being a wife. And everything that you just said is that. And I don't like the feminist movement. I think it's become very toxic and very hostile towards men. If you believed in the equality that men and that women should be able to think whatever we wanted, you wouldn't be debating me right now. You'd say, well, more power to you, because you'd be a true feminist. But you're not. You're trying to...
You're belittling other women.
I'm not belittling them. You're allowed to be a feminist. I'm not telling you you can be a feminist. You could buy a pussy hat if you left today, and I wouldn't mind. I've never had an issue with people that are feminists. I have an issue when people tell me that I now have to be a feminist, or that it's complete bullshit when I say that I think it's harmful to keep telling men that masculinity is wrong. Masculinity is a component of being a man. I think a society needs and thrives on strong men. There's never been a society without strong men. There's never been a society without strong men. And because I support that, you're upset and you're calling bullshit. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with strong men? Why does that make you upset? Let me ask you a question. Do you think, so now we're getting, now this is why I don't support feminism, by the way, do you believe in the concept that women should just be believed absent facts? Because that was the Christine Blasey Ford thing. There was not a single fact. Do you think that women should be believed absent facts if they say that they were raped and assaulted?
Not without fact, but I think there should be a culture of belief. If someone comes forward and says, a man or a woman comes forward and says something has happened to them, that they should be given the time to be heard and to speak of their experience.
Okay, but I just
not by a court, not by a
Rule of
judge,
law.
not by legal professionals.
Why didn't she submit a police report?
At the time,
She
still
never did.
hasn't.
because there is a culture of disbelief, because she was in an
But she
important
had no evidence.
position.
There's no statute of limitations for rape in Maryland. She could file a police report today. It's because she made up the entire thing.
No, she didn't.
So why doesn't she know the time, the place, no corroborating witnesses? Her story changed 8 times. None of her friends said it ever happened or she ever talked about it once before. Everything about her life story changed at least 6 times. And 2 of the women that came forward and said that something happened are actually under criminal conviction for making up the entire thing. They never met her once before. This was a con job to try to displace United States Supreme Court
It was a political
justice.
hit job. It really was. But I do want to say this to you, and something for you to just consider, because I think we should wrap this up, because I don't think you're ever going to not be a feminist, and I'm never going to be one, right? But it's really important when you start getting into that slippery slope of believe women, and I talk about this particularly in Minority America, because we've learned our lesson the hardest with this, and I think radicalized feminism, when I did an interview, I said it was the closest thing to white supremacy I've ever seen is radicalized feminism. The concept of just believing a woman because she said something is the direct thing that led to all of our ancestors getting lynched in America. When white women would just say that something happened, okay, and we were supposed to magically believe it. Our ancestors were then chased after, put into cars, Emmett Till, everything that happened in America happened because white women should just be believed. So you will never, ever, ever hear me stand behind a radicalized concept like just believe women because they're